say, Larry, our brother, father, friend, relative, he's always going to be with us. And I was thinking, we keep talking about Larry and his heart, and I was thinking about that book by Shel Silverman, right? The Giving Tree. And Larry's heart was really the giving tree of his life. He just gave himself to the fullest to everyone all the time. And I think he gave so much of that, that empowerment and that comfort. You felt like his arm was around you. And oftentimes it was, but if not, his words were. And that support was unbelievable. But that self-sacrifice, and I think he just left so little for himself at times. We just really feel that. So that sense of giving is what we're going to share here a little bit, and that's what we're going to celebrate. So let's go through this together. The Larry that we know, and what I particularly hope all of us immediately recognize is we all have our own experience with Larry, and together, all of us create this mosaic of an understanding and kind of his life. And all of us, hopefully, will walk out of here today with an even deeper understanding of who Larry not only was, but what he brought to our lives and what we can carry forward with. And that's phenomenal to have someone like that. So this is where we grew up in Ann Arbor. And well, that was our home. Larry was always there was a journey he was on, and he found Star Trek fairly early on. And that sort of, I think, empowered a little bit of his thought and sense of wonder and opportunity. And right from first grade, here's our guy, just looks like a Bill Nye the Science Guy from day one in first grade. And he was always that all through school. And that sense of curiosity, he could look at a blade of grass and get excited about it. He'd go to the beach and find a shell and find something in the sand. And that sense of wonderment and engagement he carried, but he also shared. I see it in Ethan. I see it in Abby. You carry that. And that's just a phenomenal gift. Larry, cat lover, stories for later on, but he was the guy that always embraced the cats, always embraced the animals. Penny, his beloved cat, to the rest of us in the household, Vanessa, right?
Right.
This cat was RC, Rotten Cat, which we all named, but he was the only cat that she would only respond if Larry picked her up and took care of her. And that's kind of the way he was. He was not hesitant to be the guy to do something that the next person did. Now, he was incredibly patient. And I know, Vanessa, these two shots include you.
Yeah.
But you two being so close in age, had such a wonderful bond growing up. And I just saw that together, their connection. To me, speaking very personally, he was my bro, and I couldn't ask for a guy next to me when I was a little kid. He was willing to go wherever I wanted to go. He was willing to do whatever it was that we thought would be fun. And we had lots chocolate rabbit was going to go. He'd grab his piece quickly. And just kind of our adventures. And again, you can see he was willing to have fun with Vanessa out in the snow when we kind of had we got these seashells. He was kind of the lookout. He was our little bookkeeper. It was just the role right from the beginning was just so wonderful to have that experience. And then over the years, Larry, celebrated with us. When I had a challenged time in life, he said, "Come on down. Let's go down the wine coast. We'll visit vineyards for 3 or 4 days. Clear your head, just us." And to give of himself like that so readily. And I bet everybody here has a story where Larry stepped up with that. And I have to tell you that it represents a really day for us. This is back in Ann Arbor. The first time all three of us had been together back in the town that we grew up in. And we went to the favorite restaurant of our parents, Gandy Dancer. That's another story, another time. They had no idea. But we had such a lovely dinner, and the table we were at, and just everything was like it was a magic night, wasn't it? And it was so nice that your now husband, Mark, was there joining us. But the last year, and excuse me for just adding this here, but in the last year, the pandemic actually gave us a gift. Vanessa was saying this. We got to see and engage with Larry over the pandemic, over the past year. We did the trip to Ann Arbor. We just like, you know what? We've never done this. We've got to do this. And then Vanessa's wedding, and then his 60th birthday. And over the past year, we really got to do things, which ended up being in the last chapter of his life. It was just, he was so happy with that. And obviously we just couldn't be more happy about that. Growing up, we were always, three siblings together, each on our own journey, but, we kind of traveled back to the same things. And then kind of to who Larry was. And he was a cook, he was a chef, and it all started with our mom. And when the two of them got in the kitchen, you could kind of tell, like, don't anybody get close. We got to figure it out. They're all organized. But, these two pictures are the essence of him too. He's serving others. He created this from his heart. He created this with love. And whether it's, the fish or the lobster I brought out, and he made the world's most incredible lobster roll you could ever have. But that was his cooking. It just was giving. And I think that's why Ratatouille is also one of his favorite movies. His cooking, his triumphs, right? He loved his mushrooms and so forth. And then there were some challenges, right? Abby with the pasta maker, and just, just trying to make it work and just hanging in there. The two of you guys, like, determined. A wonderful, wonderful thing. And obviously, he was always looking out for Ethan and Abby. And I think these two really epitomize just the pure joy of Larry, but also this sort of, I love the ball pit, right? Just sort of going in there, he's going to find Ethan and partake, not just, where is he? I got to get him up. He was going to stay in there for a while. And I just love that about him. And he was also just a hanging out kind of dad. He and I joked about this picture quite a bit, that, couldn't tell if the light was flashing, whether he was allowed to cruise or not cruising. But that was a kind of running joke between the two of us. And always with insight, right? And, I was saying to Vanessa, whatever Larry was saying in Ethan's ear, it was something more that these are than a couple of pigs. It was something that was about how they lived, something about why they were special, why they were doing. It was more than just sort of a walk through life. And of course, his just enthusiasm for all pets in the world. And he was also a very patient gamer. He had a brutal me. All right, fine, Vanessa. Yeah. It was tough games in our household growing up. But he, again, learned how to really play that and bring that joy to Ethan and Abby. And just some pictures and people who we connected with, the Cohens, who were my dad's oldest friends, so friends for 70 years. Merrill was a scientist, and he and a fisherman, and he and Larry would just sit there and bond for hours about biology, about technology, and they just had a great connection. And then the Weiser family, which is our mother's family down in Hull, and just the family connection with cousins, his cousin Peter, really, I think the cousin that he spent the most amount of time with, they were most engaged with. And this picture so embodies, right, Ness? I mean, this was, they were just connected. And although we didn't see them as much as we like to, but we did pretty much every year. It's Peter and Michael, they were just soulmates. And one of the things I have to also note, I didn't put it in here, but Peter sent this beautiful picture that Larry got to see in his last days. We showed it to him, and it was a picture with Peter with his Federation T-shirt with "Live Long and Prosper," and said, "To my favorite geek nerd." And at that point, Larry could respond a little bit, our hand or our toes. And I said, "Can you see this?" He gave us a squeeze, and it's Peter. He sends us love, and he wiggled his toes, and it was just so powerful. So again, just family getting together over the years. He was just the guy that would go around in all these family gatherings and really make sure everybody was checked in, that they had what they needed. It wasn't just kind of going through it. And those experiences continued from way back when, Roland, you were a little boy, and Larry, here's the Christmas toy, and what does he do? He gets down on the floor and figures out how to make it work and explain to him how it works. And that was always him. It was, I'm going to really engage. And, when we wandered through the heat of the summer, we were trekking along. And then, the three amigos, it was really great at your wedding, Vanessa, just to have, the three of us here. So that was, again, such a bonus experience. And just some more sort of family gatherings over the years that, again, Larry really made the effort whenever possible to connect with us. And so I'm just sharing what I had and what we had of the experience. At our father's 90th birthday, and my dad was just so surprised when we threw this party. And when he walked in and he saw Vanessa and Larry there, he just about lost it. He just couldn't believe. And we're like, well, of course, Dad. And the connection was just so beautiful. And again, some family, the joy, that's the other thing about all these events. He shared in the joy all along. This is one of my favorite new pictures. Abby with, yes, of course, I can't believe my dad's wearing a tie. And Larry, appropriately uncomfortable, but in a very happy way, right? That was him, like, yeah, she got me in a tie and I'm okay with it, right? That was always Larry. And I pull this all together and saying the wonderful, wonderful event that we were able to share with him, his 60th birthday. And Vanessa and I talked about what can we do to celebrate his 60th birthday. And so we came up with, and you did all the research, this cooking school. And we got him a one-day French chef that's Chef William. And Larry, of course, holding up potato, is what he said. They cooked this fabulous meal and he was ecstatic. It was so him. And of course, to start the day, we gave him this joke gift, the conspiracy theory, build your own conspiracy theory with a tinfoil hat. You've never seen anybody at 60 years old be so enthusiastic about following instructions how to make a tinfoil hat. And he just loved that. And that's a really wonderful thing. And I think as challenged as his health had been at times, this day and that week, and I know you took him out to dinner and did had that birthday cake, he was joyous. He was as happy as I'd seen him in years. So know that, please know that was all so recent. And so with that, we send him to his next journey. So thank you Thank you all. Vanessa is going to move the.
To the conclusion of the formal celebration of Larry. And I know that our celebration of Larry will last probably forever. I'm his youngest sister, Vanessa. You've already heard me kind of besmirched by my oldest brother. That's okay. As I prepared for this celebration of life, I thought about a short story that I'd read by Alice McDermott, and it's called Thanks for the Memories. And it's a reflection that she wrote about the passing of her mother and how she realized at that time that her mother was known by many people, but who she was in their eyes differed depending upon when they met her mom. And there's this passage from it that I wanted to share. The lesson, I suppose, is that none of us has much control over how we will be remembered. Every life is an amalgam, and it's impossible to know what moments, what foibles, what charms will come to define us once we're gone. All we can do is to live our lives fully, be authentically ourselves, and trust that the right things about us, the best, the most fitting things, will echo in the memories of those of us that endure. And she is known for her just beautiful word choices. And it's the word amalgam, actually, that drove me to connect that passage to today. And as you know, the definition of an amalgam is that it is a mixture of different elements or components. And that word can be used in a lot of different ways, but we most often hear it in the context of science or scientific experiments. And as you've heard from several, if we are in the aisle of life that is labeled science, then that is where we will meet Larry. So I started to think about what is the mix of elements and components that created this unique outcome, the Larry amalgam. And you've heard themes of this, I think, through just about everybody that shared their thoughts. So I put together the components, I think, and I hope you'll agree, that make up the Larry amalgam. And the first that comes to mind is his love of play. So we are 2 years apart, and we were each other's #1 playmates for years. We had this big oval braided rug in the family room, and we'd sit right in the middle. I think Larry would have said it was the nucleus, of the rug. And we played Parcheesi and checkers and Milbourne and card games. And I have that as probably my strongest memory as a child, is playing games together. And I know that going through these past few days, boxes of the cards and letters he saved from all of you, that he carried forward that love of playing into his friendships. Dungeons and Dragons was often a reference in the earliest correspondence. And then, of course, we saw that as he became a father. And we have so many pictures of him playing with Abby and with Ethan. And the second component of his amalgam is his love of learning. His first school was our backyard, and the forest behind it was his first science lab. And you saw some pictures of that actually in what Chris put together. And Larry was also a voracious reader. And the internet, I think, just opened a whole new universe from him when Al Gore created it. I think Larry would have liked that. And when any of us needed to understand something, especially in the field of medicine, Larry was our researcher, and he loved, loved, loved doing it for us. The third component is his ability to give love unconditionally. And as his little sister, it's something that I came to appreciate later in life. It turns out I'm a little bit of a bossy younger sister. And a few years ago, as I thought about our childhood, I realized that my sweet brother was so kind and caring to me, and I was often just quite a pill. And then, as you've heard, there's this unconditional love he showed to everybody he met. As I sorted through his correspondence, I was struck by the number of cards and letters going all the way back to his high school days, in which someone was saying, "Thank you, Larry, for helping me through that. Thank you, Larry, for listening to me," and dozens of other ways in which they were thanking him. And I think it's amazing for anyone to live that life, but I think it's exceptional that he embodied it so early in his life. Fourth, as you've heard, is the fourth component is his sense of humor. He had this impish quality that everyone who knew him saw, and he would take the most mundane moments, and you'd see the spark in his eye, and then you'd wait, because you know he was going to share this witty and usually twisted comment. And, I'm really hard pressed to think of a conversation with him where I didn't laugh at least once, even if it was a really heavy topic. And the last component that gets to the very core of the Larry amalgam is without a doubt, his love of Abby and Ethan. And this is surely the largest component. You have always been his world. And he was happiest when he was side by side with you, whether it was cooking or homework or just talking. You were and you will always be the light of his life. I'll close our time here with a quote that we felt reflected Larry's life. And it's a quote from the scientist Marie Curie. This quote is actually also on our mother's headstone. Our mom was a scientist, and long after she left her jobs in the laboratories, she walked through life with a scientist's eye. And what my brother and I realized is that if our backyard was Larry's first school, our mom was his first science teacher. So the quote is, "Nothing in life is to be feared. It is only to be understood. Now is the time to understand more so that we may fear less." So I thank everyone in the room and on Zoom that joined us together today to celebrate this tremendously special man, our brother Larry, our friend, our dad, our cousin, our uncle. And I thank you so much. I hope that if you have memories, especially if you're on Zoom, send those to us. We'll gather them, we'll put them together. And just through the rest of the day, take that spirit of Larry, be curious, and even in our grief, find a moment to laugh, because he would be standing right here, apparently doing one or more of his impressions. And that would get us through. So thank you all. And thank you, our Zoom friends.